New Year to you. The first Tell It Like It Is Tuesday of 2025. Big win for the Gators against the number one ranked Tennessee Volunteers. We're going to talk college football playoff and then the coaching carousel. Will Billy Napier hire an offensive coordinator? Will there be a new defensive coordinator? Heard rumors of Will Muschamp. We'll talk about all that and more on Tell It Like It Is Tuesday on the Buddy Martin Show. Hit that like and subscribe button. Rob Browne, SEC Sidelines. Brenden Martin, the man. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Happy New Year to you, and a big Happy New Year present for the Florida Gators as with 1.3 seconds left on the clock, getting ready to vanquish the Tennessee Volunteers, previous number one, no longer, and the Florida Gators bounce back from their first defeat against Tennessee on Saturday to take out the number one team in the country, the Tennessee Volunteers. May get a little contentious, guys. I'm watching here. Florida was trying to run out the clock, and then Tennessee fouled with 1.3 seconds left. So it'll be interesting to see what the Ty Gold and Rick Barnes handshake looks like when things happen like that. But it's okay. They're good. It was pretty good win for the Gators. Great win, obviously early in the season, but Tennessee was everybody's darling, and the Gators go out and hold them to 43 points. And just a big win for the Gators. I mean, the guards didn't play great. I think Clayton ended up with 7 points as a whole. Elijah Martin had 15, but just a great effort defensively. And you could tell that, after the barrage of 106 points against Kentucky, that they just came out ready to roll. So with that, we say hello to Rob Browne, SEC Sidelines, Brenden Martin, GatorMedia.com. I'm your host, Loren Meadows, and tonight we're going to talk about a lot of things. Obviously, a big win by the Gators. Talk college football playoff, where this thing could be headed, and obviously, what's it look like for the Gators as the offseason progresses towards spring ball? How you guys doing?
Excellent. Tennessee, we talked in the pre-show, everybody loves Rick Barnes. He's the second winningest coach behind Calipari in college basketball, but it looks, again, same story with Tennessee. Great win for Florida. Gators went on the road the other night against Kentucky during the day, actually. This is a damn good basketball team. They're a lot better than last year. This is
no doubt. I mean, the guards, I think the addition of Elijah Martin, I was talking to somebody before, and when you look at this team, when you look at Clayton, you look at Will Richard, Hal Condon, Chinyelu, but the guy that I think has steadied this thing is we talk about the transfer portal. These are the things that are good for the transfer portal. A guy like Elijah Martin, who probably was more football than basketball, chose to play basketball, ends up at Florida Atlantic, plays the 4 spot on a Final Four basketball team a couple years ago, comes to Florida, and you could just tell, I mean, he could care less how many points he scores. He could care less how many assists he has. He's just a winner. And, I mean, he's somebody that not only steadies this team, but steadies the coaching staff. Like, there was a call, Golden went running up the floor, and it was Elijah Martin who's grabbing him saying, hold on, coach, So, we talk about kids that kid would still be at Florida Atlantic right now had the rules not been in place. I mean, Walter Clayton still be at Iona, but guys are able to come home and be a part of something that could be a special year for the Gators. I mean, really long way to go, but looking at them right now, Rob, Brenden, I mean, they look like a team that at least I always say if you're a second weekend team, you're a Final Four team. You know, you have the ability to make the Final Four. So they are definitely a second weekend team, don't you think, Rob?
Yeah, and Todd Golden has proven that he knows what the hell he's doing. And the SEC right now you've got 6 of the top 12 or 14 teams. That's going to work itself out because we'll just beat each other up. But yeah, I think Todd Golden's proven why everybody thought he was such a good hire from San Francisco. And he's got talent, and these teams that play together for 3 or 4 years, they're so much better in the tournament than the teams full of the ringers who come in for a cup of coffee and a check, and just there are very few real teams in basketball. Florida's one of them.
Yeah, and the thing I like about it, Brenden, and you can speak to this being Colorado / Floridian, guys like Sam Alexis from Orlando, Denzel Aberdeen from Orlando, Clayton's a Polk County guy. It feels kind of good that there is some Florida flavor on this team as well. And I think that's what in the long run might endear this team to the fan base even more, is that there are some guys who grew up and played their high school ball within a couple hours of the campus. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no way you don't have that sort of allegiance if you have ever played in a team, right? You're playing a couple of minutes from home. Look, everybody wants to go home and have a little red ass on it, right? And just go out and give it to the ones that told you couldn't make it.
Right, absolutely.
I do that every day I come on this show. I say, show me your cookies, bitch. No,
easy.
Hold on now.
But
it's fun. Yeah. I think, look, hey, wouldn't Will Muschamp sort of feel that way? Again,
we're getting there,
segue.
Yeah, getting there. But no, I mean, I think that when you look at you look at the ability of this team, to play, and it wasn't a great night tonight, but they were able to will themselves to some baskets. I mean, there was some ugly basketball at times, but they were able to handle it physically. But I think it speaks to just the talent of the SEC. And I think that's where, as much as we talk football and we talk about the absence of a traditional SEC program in the Final Four, this basketball thing that's going on in the SEC, Rob, once again speaks to the ability of the transfer portal to raise the level. I mean, 14-2 against the ACC and the SEC-ACC challenge. I mean, beat downs. I mean, not even close. Florida going to Charlotte to get the win in a pseudo home game. This conference, and I mean, you're right in the thick of it, being an Auburn guy, obviously being there in Memphis, which is Hoop Central in the South for those that really don't know. And I mean, just guys like Bruce Pearl, Todd Golden, Rick Barnes, Calipari now at Arkansas, Mark Pope. We saw the talent that he has. I mean, what they've done in this conference and others, South Carolina's got it going a little bit. I mean, guys just playing well. What they've been able to do to elevate this conference, not to the same level, but on par where they're being talked about in basketball circles as getting maybe 12 to 13 teams, Rob, is unbelievable.
Well, what's happened is these kids that used to leave Alabama and Georgia and Florida and Mississippi and go play at North Carolina and Duke and Indiana aren't doing that anymore for the most part. They're staying home in the SEC. Go back to 2014 when SEC Commissioner, the late Mike Slive, said, guys, we've got to put a better product on for SEC network with our basketball. Women, we had some good programs, but we had to get the men to ramp it up because very few schools were really committed to winning in basketball. And that was the best thing that happened to this league. And look at the coaches that have come in here and have been run out. I'm talking about coaches that got to the Final Four, Tom Crean, Jim Herrick. I mean, these guys came into this league and got chewed up and spit out, man.
Anthony Grant doing a great job at UD. Couldn't get it done at Alabama. Yeah, I mean,
so it's a grinder. When this league commits to being great, it's hard to beat. And I think the same problem's happening in football, though. you can't look at bowl games and use that as a barometer for how good is the SEC. I hate to say it, but it's true in my opinion. We got a lot of sorry ass kids that just quit on their teams in these bowl games.
Yeah.
And I would drop kick them through the goalpost of hell if I were their coach. I would not allow them on campus. They would never be welcome back again. I'm sorry. Opting out is a euphemism for I quit. And we make all these excuses, but in basketball, man, you only got to have you can have 13 on scholarship. Most schools have 10 or 11. So it's easier to build camaraderie. And SEC basketball, if you think the regular season doesn't matter, then you're a fan of a school that doesn't have a very good basketball program.
Right. No doubt.
Because every game matters.
And let's look at this and then we'll move along. But I think the biggest thing now is you better get your wins at home in the SEC this year.
Yeah.
Because you ain't going into someone else's gym and getting wins. I mean, Florida was picked 8th. And here's the thing. They could finish 8th in the SEC and make the Final Four and be pretty good. They could finish 5th. I mean, they finished 5th the year they won the first one. And back then, that wasn't that great to finish 5th in the SEC. They could finish 5th in the SEC and be really, really good. I mean, they could win close to 30 games and finish 5th. I mean, I'm going to venture to think that to step back and say maybe 2 to 3 wins over 500 is going to win the league in the regular season.
Yeah, I will not be surprised if the league champions 13-5 this season. I really do. Yeah. I mean, look at this. Tennessee goes down there and just gets destroyed. And it wasn't that they had an off night. Florida didn't let them have a big night. Right. I get tired of these people that say, well, they just had a bad game. Bullshit. They got whipped by the other team.
Oh, yeah.
You got to give them credit. And I'm telling you, Auburn's walking in the eye of the storm with in Texas
down in Austin. Yeah, absolutely.
Here's a question. We don't know. Will Bevo be in the gym tonight?
I don't think so. If they don't have where were they playing? They didn't have a pen where he couldn't go. Where was that?
Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
What are you talking about? What it was the last start?
I could.
It's like somebody took his ball and went home. I'm like, dude, you guys realize you're the only ones with live mascots still on the sidelines, bro.
Right. Well, now here's a question: would they have let Ralphie run? Who is a woman, by the way? Would they have let Ralphie run in the Mercedes-Benz?
Hell no.
They wouldn't let Ralphie go either.
Have you ever seen Ralphie run in live?
I have seen Ralphie run.
I've seen it, and I've had to run alongside with a camera in my hand, bro.
Oh, yeah.
That's some of the most violent, dumb shit I've ever done in my life, my friend. And I would be safer running at Pamplona with the Bulls than doing that.
Here's the thing.
That's crazy.
Ralphie's a female. Did you guys know that?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I do know that.
Yes,
and the location of where the ranch is and where they're it's completely like under a shroud of secrecy. Like
it's like area 51 or whatever.
It's like
bigger than that.
It is. It's a small like faction of the University of Colorado, like that are like heavy into like this. I guess it's like almost like a cult. I feel it's like it's like Texas A&M fish school almost a little bit. Like they're very, very secretive. And very, they all have like Ralphie tattoo. I mean, it's a lot.
You get a varsity letter, right? If you run with Ralphie,
they give some pretty gamey varsity letters out there.
Yeah.
They're not going to let Ralphie run. I don't even know how you no. I don't know if he runs on. He doesn't run. If it's an away game.
No, I don't think so. But I think does Boomer Sooner they run, right? Boomer and Sooner, I think they do. We'll see.
Not for long.
Those horses, yeah.
Not for long.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about it is with that is I don't know if he even ran at the Alamo Bowl. I forgot to pay attention,
dude.
So I wasn't paying attention.
Bevo, it's what's for dinner. Come on.
Bevo is sponsored by Longhorn Steakhouse.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. And he was denied admission to Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the SEC championship game and for the Texas playoff game against Arizona State. So their record without Bevo in Atlanta is 2-0. Maybe he should not go ever.
Yeah, I don't think it. And here's the thing: if he's not allowed to be there at the Cotton Bowl, then you
he'll
know
be there.
because if it,
He's
okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I was
Jerry
gonna say now if he
in the
can't be
state of
okay.
Texas.
Yeah, I
Are
was gonna
you
say
kidding
that
me?
might be
That would be
officially
blasphemy.
Yeah, right. Okay, well we got that cleared up there. But speaking of Texas, we
I
got
don't know.
Texas.
I mean, it might be.
He's in-
What if it's an SEC thing or something?
No, it's a stadium by stadium deal. It's not a conference deal. The people in Atlanta just wouldn't let him in, but he is invited to AT&T Stadium. He will be at Jerry's World, and the Spurs are the guys. The Texas Spurs. Ken Capps was a Spur. They take care of Bevo, and just like you got to wonder about that rooster at South Carolina when he
Right.
retires. Do they call Zaxby's or Raising Cane's?
Now, interesting fact, and it will go back as we're talking about mascots. This thing is off the rails, but mascots. So, Reverie, Texas A&M. You know, he or she lives with the
Well, if you get him small, but if we made him smaller,
right, well,
he can fit it. He's a little big.
Yeah,
He's got a lot. It takes up.
So speaking of dogs, so if Reverie, she goes to class at Texas A&M, or he, if Reveille or whatever barks during class, class is immediately dismissed.
Yeah, but where? How does Reveille in class, and how do you monitor?
She goes to school. He or she goes to class with the cadet who is in charge of them and lives with them. Goes to class.
I bet for that cadet, if Reveille actually does that, then that cadet's like done and like can never like.
I would probably say so. Yeah. So,
but
anyway,
does what if Reveille leaves?
If he barks, it barks during class, class is immediately dismissed.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think it happens much, but you know,
Woof.
based on
No, it didn't work.
But so semifinals, college football playoff. We got Texas, we got Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Penn State. You know, a lot of history, a lot of blue buds, but and I got to say this because I think it's huge, and everybody here should appreciate it. The college football national championship game for the first time in history will have a coach of African American descent.
Yeah, about time.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, and I'm just saying that's, you know, as we continue to grow, and I mean, that's something that I think is, you know, I mean, for so long, you know, football and other things have kept us apart, and now those are the things that are bringing us together. So either Marcus Freeman or James Franklin will be in the championship game, and will be the first African American head coach to coach in the quote unquote championship game.
Yeah, Marcus is I love this guy. I know his agent here in Memphis, Clint Dowdle, and one thing he did, he reinstituted game day mass at Notre Dame.
Yes.
I'm proud of that. And I'm going to tell you, he's a convert to Catholicism. My Notre Dame friends love this guy.
Right.
I mean, he's got 5 or 6 kids, beautiful wife.
Yeah.
Southwest Ohio or Southeast?
He is from Huber Heights, Ohio, which is a suburb of Dayton. I actually coached against
Middle
Marcus.
Ohio.
So, well, no, Southwest. It's Southwest.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's in between Dayton and Columbus.
Yeah, and I just know I'm learning a lot about him from people that are with him. He's really good. To come back from that Northern Illinois loss, that says a lot about him. And he is in charge of special teams too. It's going to be a hell of a game.
Well, you know, he's kind of cut from, you know, just like Tressel, he's cut from that Tressel cloth where, you know, they handle special teams just like Urban did, things like that. But definitely, I mean, I've known Marcus since he was 14 years old. I coached his brother Mike in an all-star game, coached against Marcus. I mean, to see him grow, he's got another great young man, Mike Mickens, who played for Brian Kelly at Cincinnati, is on the staff there coaching the DBs as well. I mean, just a good group of guys. But yeah, I mean, Marcus, James Franklin, I mean, 2 guys that I think try to really do it the right way. And, you know, that's going to be a heck of a game. I think that's 2 evenly matched teams. And it could be, I mean, that one could get played in the mud for sure, you know, no doubt.
Yeah. I mean, Notre Dame, that brand, you know how powerful it is. And Texas and Ohio State teeing up. Notre Dame, Penn State, this is the, 20th time they've played? You know what that series? It's 9-9-1.
Sure.
But, man, that Notre Dame brand.
I'd love to be Notre Dame.
Yeah. And it used to be, I mean, that used to be the when they were both
Softball after
independent.
softball. I mean, every week you don't play anybody, and then we're badass in the champ. Well, we're kidding. You're healthy. Welcome to playing in a non-conference, you cheaters.
Well, and
the donors.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I mean, I think I mean, and we can get into that as we'll talk about the other game and then jump into that. Well, and maybe so, but then, so you're saying Penn State deserves to be there if Penn State wins? I mean,
they're in a conference.
Yeah.
Let's just start there. Yes, they're in a conference. I mean, they at least are in a conference,
right? I mean, and I guess I mean, it is what it is, man. I think
know that's what we've been saying for like 100 years.
And I mean, but and when you think about when they were independent, though, I mean, they played big boy schedule. I mean, I mean, I'll give Notre Dame that.
Different kind of college football now, but we're in this landscape. What we're doing right now, what's happening in college football right now, that is not fair. Period.
Even though they play basically an ACC schedule.
But they didn't play in the ACC. They're not in the conference. So great. Play in the conference, have a conference, but play in the conference and have a conference championship. Like everybody else has to do it. You got to do it.
Well, they ain't gonna do it. And that's an argument
I just don't know why they could get away to do it. Like it just doesn't seem like how this is where the NCAA gets confusing. I just don't know who's the government.
They can get away with it because they can.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, how about Brenden? Remember what Frank Duffy said on Friday's show, that witty thing about Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss?
Yeah.
He's going to be there as long as he's there. He's going to be there. You know, basically saying Lane Kiffin's at the point where now a 10-3 Ole Miss team, the fans are furious. I mean, it was a terrible year, but Notre Dame, if they join a conference, I'll predict it's the SEC.
That's that is I see ACC.
Okay.
I don't know why you'd want to join.
I say Big Ten, but
Big Ten.
I don't think they really like. I mean, I don't think I think they've had chances to join the Big Ten and they've rebuffed those. Right. A lot of chances.
I don't think they would join the
SEC profile.
Really? Well,
I do. I think they fit the SEC profile because the Catholic Church is the fastest growing church in the southeastern United States. It's not even close. And they would come down here, and no matter where they played, they'd have a ton. They'd be like the Grateful Dead. I mean, and spread heads following the panic, man.
Well, well, and to flip real quick back to basketball, Georgia, just like we talked about in the SEC, Georgia just knocked off Kentucky.
God.
So there, I mean, we just thought that. So there you go. So Georgia's pretty good, but I mean, I think they've got 2 or 3 losses, but they just knocked off Kentucky. So I mean, we talked about it. The second semifinal, Ohio State, Texas. I mean, obviously, being a native Ohioan, I will say I'm a little sentimental towards the Buckeyes when the Gators aren't playing. And I picked Ohio State. We can go back and check tape. Rob, you check me. I picked Ohio State to win the national championship. So, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about that. But do we think Texas – I mean, is anybody in the Texas wheelhouse? I saw Joe Blackburn just said anybody but Texas. Okay. But, I mean, I would say that the way that Ohio State handled Oregon and looked in that quarterfinal, you got to like Ohio State, who has quite the alumni following in Dallas as well. So it will not be as pro-Texas as I think people may think.
Well, I think I'm worried about Texas. And there's tampering going on. Ken Capps sent us another article today that this stuff with Quinn Ewers is ridiculous. You don't need that kind of a distraction heading into a game this big. In Ohio State, the worst thing that happened to the rest of college football is they were beaten at home by a sorry-ass Michigan team for the 4th year in a row. And so all they got to hear was how awful and worthless and terrible they were. Tennessee comes up there with 40,000 fans, and I completely blew it. I thought the Vols would get the win. Will Howard and the Buckeyes just absolutely dominated them. And I'm an SEC guy. I want Texas to win, but all my Arkansas friends are like, that's the last thing you want. It will be so horrible if they win. And I said, well, I got a lot of Texas friends too. But I think Texas better watch out playing at home because you're most likely to get mugged in your own driveway. I love to bet. And people get home and they think, oh, I'm safe. I just got to walk 10 feet to my door. Playing at Jerry World, I think Ohio State very likely goes in there and beats them. They may beat the hell out of them. They took Oregon and just emasculated them on national TV.
Took the lunch money.
Yeah, they did.
And then some.
Yeah.
Took the
good.
lunch money and the grocery money as well. I mean, they took everything.
And look at that Ohio State roster. Those are some tough ass guys, man. Mm-hmm. You know how tough Ohio football is. It's just the Alabama of the North. Same thing with Pennsylvania.
Well, thank you, Robin. And that's what I wanted to touch on is when we look at this thing that we call football and the SEC, I try to tell people, they always say the SEC just means more. You're right. Except in Ohio.
Yeah.
The way that those people feel about football, and you look at two of Florida's best players, Quinshon Judkins and Caleb Downs, are SEC players. Mm-hmm. They just went to Ohio State. But I also remind people that when a kid picks Ohio State, what other schools do you see that he chose from, Rob? You see, chose Ohio State over Alabama, chose Ohio State over Texas, chose Ohio State over Oregon. He's not choosing them over Wisconsin, Maryland, Rutgers. Those are the cream of the crop. And it is in a state where football is just as important as any state in the South. And they love, it is, once Urban got there, that's when you really saw, shout out to Urban Meyer, because with Tressel was still in the Midwest guys and recruiting some guys that maybe couldn't run but once Urban got there and he started really grabbing guys from Florida and Texas, it changed, but the interest and the passion for the program never wavered. You know it, Brenden. It never wavered there. And since Urban, it's just really taken off. They got the second highest NIL payroll next to Texas in the entire country. Don't tell me it's not important.
$20 million says it's not important.
But I will say this.
What do you want me to tell you? $20 million.
Right. There you go.
I don't think
$20 million they paid for that product. They better win.
Yeah.
Guys,
$20 million.
NIL's like poker. I think schools aren't giving their actual numbers that they have out. Because if you tell somebody you got 25 or 30 million, the kids are going to come in and they're going to suck the life out of you. I know some people that run collectives and they go, we just put a figure out there to shut people up. But you look at Ohio State, they had the number one player in Alabama committed all season, Naheem Offord. I know Auburn tried to flip him on signing day, but he went to Oregon. He got a shoe deal. But the Buckeyes, what Urban Meyer did going into Texas especially. Yes. And he changed that. But if you look at the top 5 states in America for producing high school players for college, number 1's Texas, about 400 a year. Number 2's Florida, about 380. California's third at 370. 4th is Georgia, around 250, 255. You know who's number 5? Ohio at about 165, maybe 170. They put out a lot of players in that state. And it's
you know what the outlier is?
State.
And you know what the outlier is, Rob, too? They are the only state of those that you name that doesn't have spring football, nor can their kids travel the country on these mercenary 7-on-7 teams. So,
I did not know that about the 7-on-7s.
Yeah. No, they can't. They can't. So if you play 7-on-7 in Ohio, you got to play with, whatever high school, Northmont High School, Meadowdale High School, Wayne High School.
I like that.
You can't get on these all-star teams. The only time you play with guys that aren't of your team is if you go to a football camp and they put you like at a Friday Night Lights or whatever, and they put you on a 7-on-7 team. But you can't jump in the car and corral and play with different guys and things like that. So, I think that's, that's another thing that when people talk about the quality of the football, kids in Ohio in the spring, they run the track, they playing lacrosse, they're playing baseball, those sports are still, which, pretty popular there and that kind of thing. But, the state track meet gets 20,000 people at it in Ohio. So,
I was going to say there's a high school in Memphis, MUS. My school, Christian Brothers High School, the big Catholic boys' school since 1871. Well, MUS quit doing spring practice in 2001. Said with 7-on-7s and summer camps, we don't need to. This is a waste of time. So the coach, Bobby Austin, said, you're going to do track and field or lacrosse or both. And I agree with that because since then they've won 4 state championships. They've been runner-up 3 or 4 times, and they've been in the quarterfinals a bunch. Bottom line, that's a 600 all-boys, all-male high school doing that. Track and field is your insurance policy for every sport you play. You look at Mouse Holloway at Florida, 14 national championships. But look at the high school track and field programs within the state of Florida. You know what makes great runners, great athletes? I know from being a triathlete and running against people from Florida, running in the sand builds your calf muscles on another level. Doing farm work, going up and down stairs, loading firewood, doing stuff like the more blue collar kids you get on your football team, the tougher they are. You get a bunch of candy asses that have been in the weight room, in an air-conditioned weight room with a personal trainer being driven and chauffeured around by their parents all their lives. First time you punch those guys in the mouth, a lot of them will lay down and cry.
no doubt.
I like blue-collar football. I like tough, hard-at. Urban Meyer, say whatever you want about him. Watch Swamp Kings. Brenden was right. My wife and I watched Swamp Kings. I mean, hell, I'd write-in candidate for president after that. That's my mentality. We need that in college football. We need that in life. I love it.
No doubt. So give me a prediction. We'll start with you, Brenden. Notre Dame, Penn State.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. Rob?
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Irish.
I'm gonna take Penn State.
Don't worry.
All right. Ohio State, Texas.
Ohio State. They put that performance on the team on the field that they did in Pasadena. It's going to be really hard to beat them because they just look really unstoppable. It wasn't even a ball game. And like I don't mean to reiterate what you said about Ohio, but I mean, that's a really good undefeated football team. I mean, it's just not like you just beat up nobody. So I don't know. I really think it's Ohio State's to lose. You got a beat up Texas team, which I don't think they're going to play them anyway. So I think they're going to lose against Notre Dame. I just think somebody said at the end, was it Yancey that said the great thing about this college football playoff is that it's going to be real predictable in the end in the last 4 games, and we're all going to make a whole bunch of money because I think it's pretty obvious. Like all the crap we talked, who are we talking about in the end? These 4 teams? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we got it close.
4 blue bloods.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. Rob?
I think here's what Texas has going against them. They're playing at home. And the fact that Quinn Ewers, this story's floating around out there, is bad. It shouldn't even be in the conversation. And I think Ohio State has a burr up their ass. They are so sick and tired of being called a bunch of underachievers. And I think Ryan Day, he's only lost about 9 games since he's been the coach at Ohio State. And I don't see him losing this game. Again, it's in Dallas. So what? It's the Cotton Bowl. So what? Again, you've got to be – I just think Texas is thinking too much about we're playing at home, and Ohio State's coming in. They're the aggressor. I just think they're going to come out with their hair on fire. I see them. Now, Texas could do it, but if I didn't hear all this stuff about Quinn Ewers and the tampering crap, I'd take them. But I think Ohio State is all for the Buckeyes. They're going to script the eye.
No doubt.
Script Ohio.
Yeah, give me the Buckeyes too. And before we talk about the Gators, let's talk about Titan MRI. Gainesville, Lake City's newest premier independent diagnostic MRI facility will be under new management here shortly, or is under new management, new owners. And but I think they're going to continue to give you the same quality service Titan MRI serving Gainesville, Lake City. You see, they're excited to let you know that Titan MRI is now open and serving the greater Gainesville, North Central Florida area. We're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer service experience. And there you go, Joe Calorio, president. We also want to talk about Meldon Law, Florida, the Florida Gators' only official law firm partner, Meldon Law. We won't back down. And for you guys that like, everything from basketball to gymnastics, softball will be coming up. We talk about it on the show. Follow Meldon Law's Instagram and Facebook page. They give away a lot of great experiences, even some concerts and things like that I've seen on there. So Meldon Law, proven and skilled injury lawyer since 1971. Meldon Law, we won't back down.
And make sure if you're interested, you can click the QR codes right there in the video, or if you go into our YouTube chat or one of our social media chats, the links do appear there too, if you would like to participate.
All right, so run the ticker again, Brenden. Let's talk about a few things. Florida Gators, Tyreek Sapp.
Yep.
Tyreek Sapp has announced that he will return. Edge defender Tyreek Sapp has decided to forego the NFL draft and return to Florida for the 2025 season. Sapp was a key defensive player, leading the team with 7 sacks and 13 tackles for loss. A great interview, Rob. If you can ever get him on, he is maybe your best interview that you are ever going to have. You talk about a kid. Once again, we talk about the things that are right about college football. Tyreek Sapp is one of them. I mean, I knew 2 weeks ago he was coming back, but I didn't want to blow up his spot or anything like that. But he's a kid that he wears his emotions on his chest. I mean, he's definitely a kid that bleeds, South Florida kid, but bleeds orange and blue, and just somebody who, deserves a lot of credit for making himself into a better football player. Somebody that was kind of a spot guy. They were trying to find a spot for him, maybe inside, maybe outside, and has really become one of the more vocal leaders on that football team. And I mean, I guess the question would be, because we talk about Tyreek Sapp coming back. I know we haven't talked about it since I've been on the show. Shamar James will be going to the NFL. That kind of surprised me a little bit, because I kind of saw Shamar James and Tyreek Sapp in the same vein of, okay, we finally got this defense clicking the way we want to. We got that momentum. We could be one of the top defenses in the SEC next year if some things go right. And Shamar James leaves, which means that he probably got a pretty good NFL grade, but definitely Tyreek Sapp coming back. Obviously the talent is there, but definitely somebody with some emotional buy-in, which can help your program, Rob, when you're trying to go to the next level.
You're muted, Rob.
Come on, mute, Rob.
Mute, unmute.
Sorry, you go, brother. The biggest problem you have is trust. You got guys that are coming and going all the time, and now it's hard to trust people. And the coaches are feeling that. I won't be surprised if a coach who's as good as Kirby Smart doesn't listen to his agent, Jimmy Sexton, and says, hey, man, Saban's doing these commercials and he's making a lot of money. It's going to be tough to keep these good coaches. Basketball, we've lost Roy Williams, Coach K, Jay Wright, and it was the coach that walked away, Jim Larinaga from Miami last week. My God. We need to you want guys that are all into your program. We're going to start psychological profiles of recruits. Are these the kind of kids that'll stick it out? Because what we're doing now, it's unsustainable, as is shaking the tin cup in the face of your donors every year about, we're having we got it. We're panicking. If we don't pay this kid this much, he's leaving. They're not going to put up with that. Trust me. I'm in the money business. It will not. It's unsustainable.
And then when we talk about a guy that's leaving or never came and left, was Alabama State and former UAB safety Adrian Maddox had committed to the Gators, and then in the twilight hours flipped to Georgia. So, what you talk about, Rob, let's just call a spade, probably came in with maybe a little better offer.
Yeah.
And Maddox is gone. And Buddy was the first to kind of throw that out there. We say good evening to the man, the myth, the legend, the reason we're all here, Buddy Martin. Yeah, you, sir. And but we say good evening, and how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. I just had to get in here tonight. Usually I'm the one to talk football, but what a performance I saw tonight. We saw
Absolutely.
history in the making, and I just couldn't believe it. It was the most complete ass whipping of a number one team you'd ever want to see. And it makes you wonder just how good this team can be. I mean, they give up 106 the other night?
Yeah.
So, and they gave up 40 tonight?
53, I think.
Well, it was no, they
Wasn't it?
70. It was 73. They won
73.
by 30. Won by 30, so it's 40.
It was 43. Yeah, excuse me, 43.
Oh, I mean, and the way you think, my gosh, how good must Kentucky be?
Well, and then Kentucky. Did you see Kentucky got beat tonight, buddy?
I did not see that.
Mike White got them tonight.
Wow.
And we talked about that, buddy, before you came on, and you could speak to this. It just speaks to the level of play in this conference this year. I mean, you see, Kentucky knocks off Florida, then Georgia knocks off Kentucky, and then Tennessee boat raced Arkansas, and then Florida boat races Tennessee. I mean, have you ever seen the SEC this strong, buddy, in your time? I mean,
I'd have a hard time going back that far, that many layers. Florida basketball is just so good right now. And now here's the thing. You think, oh, no, don't get over your skis. Hang back. How far? By the way, I hope you still have a rental property in Dayton because we're all going to be going to the Final Four there, right?
What's that now?
Where's the Final Four this year?
I was not in Dayton.
Oh,
nobody wants the first four. The first four is in Dayton. Yeah, we don't want to be there. We don't. And you really don't want to be in Dayton in the middle of March during that time. I know you have. I know you have.
Dayton in March.
Yes.
Jacksonville University played there.
Right.
And Kentucky got beat by Jacksonville in Dayton.
Yes.
Well, I forget what the Final Four is. So wherever you make your tickets. It was a remarkable performance. And remember this: their best player only scored 7. Walker got 7 points tonight, and it was just an amazing night. Now, I will say one thing: the only person who might have gotten their ass kicked as bad as Tennessee is Scott Strickland.
Antonio.
Man, he got kicked.
Yeah, we were good. I'm glad you came in. Yeah, you want to enlighten the fans on that a little bit
about it, other than what I know and read and saw, is that he obviously took this occasion, which is the winter break when students are not all back yet, to sell student tickets. And the reports on the internet, and here again is the internet, on what we saw from people reporting, is there were as many as 60 or 70 or 80 kids who came there. A whole bunch of them stayed out overnight. They were told there were no seats. He sold the student tickets. He did it. I mean, I get the money thing, but now we're getting into a dangerous area here. They already started 15 years ago selling all the press seats. Okay, we don't matter. We're nothing. But now they're selling anything they can sell, anything they got. And you start thinking about, I thought it was a terribly officiated game tonight. I don't care what you say. It was just poorly officiated. And there were a lot of bad calls against Florida.
Mm-hmm.
But students weren't there, so they weren't there to get on their ass about it,
Right.
I just think, boy, Scott Strickland doesn't need this right now. He is getting crucified online. So that's the only bit down part. Otherwise, great game, great outcome of the game. And it was just a fun time to be a Gator fan. We needed a little breathing room and something, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, I thought Florida would handle, because like we talked about earlier, you better get. Let me rephrase it. But I didn't think they would massacre them. I thought they would handle them, because, like I said, you better get your wins at home, because it's going to be tough to go into someone else's gym and get some wins. But to bust them by 30, I never saw that coming. I mean, I would have never thought that Florida. I was thinking, 2-3 possession win. Florida would get the win. Good win at home. It's the first win against a number one ranked team ever, buddy. Is that true?
Well, they actually beat them in the regular season. The first one.
Okay.
The 04s beat Somebody was number one. Kentucky.
Number one. Okay.
But the
Okay.
first one in regular season.
First one in regular season. Okay. So first
And
regular
it
season
wasn't
win.
just a win. It was just I hate to use the word massacre, but you got my I mean, they didn't score a point for how long? A point.
Oh, it was. I looked up. I was there for the first half. I think it was 11 minutes.
12-0, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was 11 minutes left in the half before Tennessee scored.
Yeah.
So
I think Tennessee on their last 11 possessions. Well, not their last 11, but at the end they were like, had a streak of 0 for 11 there.
Right.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Anyway, it was an amazing thing, and
right. So, buddy, while we got you here, we might as well keep you here. Let's do this. And I'm not sure if you talked about it today with Shane, but coaching staff. We heard rumors of Will Muschamp possibly, being mentioned as a defense coordinator. They still have one spot there. And do you really think, are we going to do this whole thing again this offseason where people are waiting on an offensive coordinator?
I hate to use these three words, but I don't know. I was asked about it on Shane's show this morning. If I'd heard about it, I said, not really. And I wasn't even that's how ignorant I was. I didn't realize he wasn't coaching at Georgia anymore.
Yeah, he was like a consultant or something.
Yeah,
they did bring him in, though, for the Florida game.
Yeah.
Someone saw him on the field coaching the Florida week.
That's why I couldn't figure it out. Anyway, I mean, it would be a huge thing. I mean, look, I had my differences with Muschamp because he followed Urban and there was some bad blood there. But I got to say, he was a hell of a good defensive coach. And Spurrier is his biggest fan. I mean, Steve talked about him all the time. And when Spurrier was in South Carolina, they were friends. And they would ride up with the SEC media days on the same plane. They were good friends. And Spurrier's big on him in defensive. He would be a home run, more than a home run, a 3-run homer or a 4-run homer, grand slam for the Gators as a defensive coordinator. I don't know if it's going to happen. I haven't heard anything. We don't get any information. But something is going on because too many people, Rob, who are around in the program, you might be hearing some of this, have heard something about that. So it would be a good one, and it would be one that would sort of make them jam up, as they say. I think they're going to have to win 9 games this year because I wrote a column about it saying 9 is one more than they won this year. Got to show progress. And in 9, they got no chance to get into the playoffs. So if they don't win 9, they may not get in then. So it's time for Florida football to step up. But today's defection of the safety they had from UAB didn't help any. Yeah,
I mean, Rob, is it realistic that a guy like a Will Muschamp would come back from what you know? I mean, it was thought to be, I've heard everything from it was a done deal, then it went away. No chance whatsoever. I mean, you hear these things, and I caution people to, when they throw certain names out there, certain guys just aren't coming. They're not. But is Will Muschamp, I mean, you spent a little time with him down when he was at Auburn. Is he the kind of guy that would come back to a place that let him go and then coach the defense? You're on mute again, Rob. Come off mute. Come off mute, Rob.
He lived in Gainesville for 10 years growing up. When people forget that. Then he came back to Florida. As a recruiter, he's an elite recruiter. He makes everybody play better. He demands it. He'll physically demand it from you. He's a special kind of coach. Ron Roberts, what I heard about him at Auburn, really, really good coach. Just has trouble getting along with other people. It's kind of like people that are consultants. A lot of times it's because they can't get along with other people, so they consult. But I believe the talent that Florida has, Will Muschamp will come in and there'll be immediate return on that investment. So yeah, I think he would see at Georgia. He's kind of done his thing there. Lynn Schumann's there, Kirby's there. There's a lot of people in that room. He comes to Florida, he'll be completely autonomous. But I don't know if he will. I mean, but I think if he was offered it in the right amount of money, he would. But it's just, I know he loved Florida. He spent a lot of his childhood in Gainesville. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I would want him. He's a great recruiter, too.
All right. Buddy, in your estimation, does Billy need to have an offensive coordinator? Does he need to hand over play calling to someone on the staff? Do they need to go in a different direction from a schematic standpoint? Or is it, once again, like I said, we're going to spend the whole offseason talking about it, and then about mid-February, I'm going to tell people it's not happening because you're not going to start installing a new offense past that. I mean, I don't know if we necessarily need someone from the outside to call plays for Florida, but I do think a lot can happen in a football game where when the head coach is the primary play caller, and I think you see remnants of that still from time to time, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't think it's happening, so we could put it to bed. But what do you think?
I don't think you're even on a limb there. I've had this discussion countless times with Shane on his show, by the way, which is, if you don't know, he's on every morning at 8:00 on the same channel that we're on here on YouTube. And you want to be sure and catch Pot Up with Matthews, but
No doubt.
He says he has no problems with Billy's play calling. Now, Shane knows something about calling plays.
No doubt.
He
Absolutely.
Mastermind of that. He called plays at a high level. He emphasizes to me, everybody's got the same playbook. It's how you execute them and when you call them.
Correct.
And he claims that he feels like that he's okay with Billy. Now, Billy does tend to go into a conservative mode at times. Every coach has that streak where they sometimes can't get their calls in the right direction. I don't think there need to be. I don't think Billy will give it up. I think he'll masquerade it. He'll say somebody else is helping him, but he's going to be the guy calling plays, and he should be because that's how it is. They had guys who call their plays, and a lot like Doug Peterson. Why did Doug Peterson call his plays at Jacksonville and then stop calling and get fired? I don't know. He was a play caller.
Right.
So it's hard to play calling. I think it's overrated. It's something people grab a hold of and think, well, there's a quick way to fix it. I don't know that needs to be fixed. The quarterback they got right now is playing for the man he wants to play for.
Yeah.
And anybody to
Great
come
point.
and train them. So let him and let them get their thing going. And there's no reason to think they can't. So I would say no to that.
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the, and I give, shout out to Shane Matthews and his show every day at 8 a.m. does a great job. But one of the biggest compliments that you can have from a guy like Shane Matthews, who's not a guy that wants a lot of spotlight, but when he'll sit down and have a football discussion with you, that's pretty, that's pretty pleasing to a guy like myself who thinks he knows a little football, things like that, Rob. But, when you look at it, Rob, and I remember, buddy, at the very first press conference, you asked the first question, Billy Napier's introductory press conference, but then someone asked him, who's going to call the plays? And he said, I'm going to call the plays. And I'd never seen such a definitive answer from a head coach than when I got from Billy Napier. And I think people need to go back to that, Rob, and think like, hey, I mean, he feels like it works. It's kind of like Jerry Jones not hiring a general manager. They feel like it works when they're in control. It works for them. And, maybe it wouldn't work for him if he handed it off to somebody else, Rob.
Well, it's like a person that owns restaurants. You don't see them taking 3-week vacations. I know people that do. Y'all do too. That's the way Billy Napier is. He likes to be in control. I don't know if he's a micromanager, but he damn sure likes to be hands-on. And again, that Will Muschamp story, it's intriguing. Man, that would be a great hire. I don't know if it'll happen. I mean, none of us do for sure, but that was a big story. With Florida, you got DJ Lagway, and whoever the offensive coordinator is, if they bring somebody in, just get out of his way, let him play. This is a special talent. Gators next year, I'm with Buddy. They got to win 9 games or more and show discernible progress. When we go to 16 teams, we're going to start seeing 9 and 3 teams in. And after what we saw, putting South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Alabama on the side and not putting them in the playoffs, what would they have done to SMU and Indiana and Boise? We had a bunch of inclusive crap on this playoff committee with a bunch of people. I mean, who were the SEC's representatives? As one of our guests said, 2 guys from Missouri. Nothing screams SEC football more than Missouri football. My God. Take the 12 best teams. Don't try to make everybody feel good. I know it's about creating interest around the country. Just get the best teams.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I agree. And I said this on the show, we talked about it. Take the 12 best teams. If you had your last ham sandwich, you put the teams next to each other, who you betting on, that's who you take.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line. You take the best 12 teams. And we'll get into that as this thing finishes. But, I guess, buddy, is what I want to ask is when we look at just the landscape as we get ready to close, it's amazing the difference 6 to 8 weeks make. And I say that because I'm sitting at the game tonight, and who comes up on the big screen? Billy Napier. And hey, Billy Napier's here. And I mean, it is just like, wow.
Yeah.
And just a while back, we were thinking, okay, who's replacing this guy? How bad is it going to get? Is the next loss? And I know you've seen it come and go, but even with that, is it just amazing where we are with Billy Napier and how he's been able to salvage things, at least really until the opening. Well, really, it won't be the opening. It'll be till week 3 when they go down to Miami, because they're going to win the first 2 games.
That's running him out of the house. I think you're ready to run him off.
Yeah.
No, we all were. Can I just say one thing? I know I'm coming in late. I'm not trying to take over the show.
No, sir. Anytime. You're the man. You take over when you want to.
I want to make sure, because we've had a change in one. You probably didn't get notification. It was Titan MRI.
We touched on it, but go ahead.
They're now called Titan MRI and Imaging. They've merged actually with Joe Colorio, who started high field MRI in 1997. He's come back, and he is running Titan MRI Imaging. They have 3 locations to serve you, and coming to Ocala soon. So that's good news. If you need a Titan MRI, 2 locations to serve you now in Gainesville, as well as Lake City and part of Valdosta. And then they accept insurance now, which they haven't in the past. Got self-pay. They offer MRIs, CAT scans, x-rays, ultrasounds. Check them out. It's a terrific way for you to go get your MRI, your CAT scan. Titan MRI, now called Titan MRI and Imaging. That's one sponsor. I know you probably mentioned our others, more than likely.
Yes, sir.
And I will say thank you to all them for their loyalty. And thank you guys. Rob, your show is going great. Congratulations. You're getting a big audience. I look to you for my SEC news. We're going to have an interesting year. Basketball, baseball is going to be really good as well.
Softball,
spring football. I mean, and spring football is going to be interesting. You just can't get enough of that stuff. So I'll duck out of here.
No.
Go ahead, Rob.
I'm agree with you. You can't get enough of it. And thank you for kind words. The only easy day was yesterday. And you get great guests, great team, great producer. And look at the SEC. And, you got to be objective when you're on the air. In full disclosure, I'm an Auburn grad. You're Florida. Brenden, is Gator from Ohio, loves the Buckeyes too. And Marcus Freeman. Sounds like that Tom Petty song. She loves Jesus, Elvis too. but look, seriously, it's so much fun doing these shows on this channel. I would get up about 5:30 in the morning. I'm bouncing off the walls. I mean, but it's so cool because people appreciate what we're doing, and we appreciate them watching us and all these sponsors we have. But damn, buddy, and Loren, Brenden knows this. This SEC basketball season, man, hitch up, man, because it's going to be a hell of a ride.
No doubt.
Has anybody ever had all the teams in the tournament?
Well, the
Yeah,
Big Ten, as Franz Beard says, the Big Ten when they had 14 teams, he goes, they're going to get 17 bids to the tournament.
Yeah, no doubt.
That was the only
Yeah.
one close.
Yeah, I think that and Buddy, kind of as a sidelight, I'm gonna say two things. I am done saying Happy New Year to answer the question for the day.
Merry Christmas.
And if you listen to Dayglow, better known as Marsha Meadows, my lovely wife, the 27th of December is too late to have your Christmas up. So there is no remnants of Christmas whatsoever at the Meadows household here in Gainesville anymore. So I heard that question today, and you said lovely Don would leave them up all year if she could.
Yeah.
So.
Don, by the way, just so you know, how long do you say happy anniversary? Can you believe it's been on the 20th of the month, the day of the championship game, 1 year since Buddy and Don were married, and you were there.
I was there.
And a toast to us and all that.
Yeah, and then what did we do the next day?
We'll ate breakfast.
We ate pancakes.
Yeah, and y'all helped us get upstairs. Didn't have room service, and you
really,
saved my marriage after.
Right. Shout out to the Indigo Hotel in Panama City. Really great pancakes. They were good. Those are good.
So Rob, who you got on tomorrow?
And we got Coach John Brady, who's the LSU color analyst on the LSU Basketball Network. Of course, he took the Tigers to the Final Four. He's coached a long time. He'll be on with us talking some SEC basketball. Dudley Dawson, Hogville.net. Vince Ferrara from Knoxville. Maybe he got the license plate of that truck that flattened Tennessee tonight. Interested to hear what he's got to say. Brenden and I will be going back and forth, playing point guard with all these guys. And we'll bounce all around the league. I tell you what, though, SEC supremacy, you think it matters? Now that the manhood's been challenged to the SEC, I think you're going to see a concerted effort to tell these kids, quit leaving so damn fast. We're going to get into that with coaches, but the 2s and the 3s leaving is why the SEC is struggling. Those kids that used to stick around are now starting at Indiana or SMU or Boise. So it's a different world. We're going to tackle that tomorrow.
I hear you, but I can give you some good advice.
Yeah.
Somebody gave me one time. Quit being against everything and be for something.
Yeah.
So I want to be for something. I say everybody in the SEC is going to be a Longhorn fan come Thursday. Because why? Because if they win, that means 14 out of 18 for the SEC. Yeah. They are in the SEC. The SEC is still in this game, in this tournament. And by the way, let's not forget 4th and 13, okay? What a call, what a play. And so, I'm going to write a column about it. Everybody's going to ride Bevo to the championship.
Except
I'm for Texas. I'm for the SEC.
Except tonight's host.
Yeah. No, I am.
Want the SEC to win, man?
What's that?
Don't you want the SEC to win?
Buddy, how long have you known? When you met me, what did my address say? It ended in what?
What you did? You ain't been talking about the Ohio State all season.
Well, I ain't been talking about Texas either.
You started to bring that up now.
Florida
and
Ohio State.
I'm an SEC guy.
Right. Real quick, before Brenden kicks us off, we want to say condolences to the McMillan family in Ocala. Coach McMillan passed away during the holidays. Want to give shout out to them as well. Be praying for them.
This morning, and also mentioned to the McCabe family. Buddy McCabe, former governor of Florida, Ocala, passed away too. So.
Amen. So, and then talk about Renstar Medical Research. Seeking tomorrow's questions to the health. Tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. I'm gonna get that right one of these days. But shout out to the Brentley family and Sorrentino family and Scott Brantley. Hope he continues to recover with his health. And really great show tonight, guys. Appreciate you being on, Rob. Buddy, always great to see you. Our executive producer, Brenden Martin, does a great job. And Renstar Medical Research, there you see a superior medical research facility, pretty much everything you need. And with that, we'll say good night, gentlemen. Great show.
How about them Gators?
Night. Great
How
job.
about them Gators? Great
Big
job.
win.